don't be put off by all those fancy, expensive woven willow and hazel structures that you see for sale on the internet or wherever, used for supporting plants. They're really very easy to make, and you can make them highly elaborate by lots of woven willow and birch and things like that laced through the top. But bear in mind the plant will cover a lot of it very quickly anyway, and they don't last forever. Whereas I'm going to show you how to make 6 or 7 different items here now, and they're fun to make. And if you've got easy access to coppice wood, either in your own garden or you know someone nearby, to check out on the internet, it's well worth it if you can gather your own, because carriage and transport is a huge amount of the cost if you buy it. So first of all, here we've got these hazels, and if you remember, I cut them right down to ground level last year. So this is basically 1 year's growth, and I've taken 1 or 2 big ones off here already. So you can see they regenerate these lovely long straight shoots, and they are perfect for supporting plants in the garden. Now, the best time to pick them, if you want them to be completely longer, as long wearing as you can, 4 or 5 years, something like that, then is to pick them when they're totally dormant. If you pick them when the sap's rising or just about to rise, which you can see here, the buds are opening, so the sap's rising, then they are more pliable. But a way that you can make them more pliable is just to sink them in water. And I've got a willow wand, I've got a hazel wand in the pool over there, which I'll show you in a minute. And that is so pliable because it's been soaking in the water for 24 hours. And all the willow weavers that I've worked with that do it professionally, they regularly do that. They'll get them, ship huge bundles for big projects. They'll be totally dry when they arrive. They shove them in water for 48 hours, something like that, and they're a completely different animal. They're really, really flexible. So there's hazel, and normally commercially you might cut them every 4 or 5 years, but if you've got them in your own garden, you grow them at the height and thickness you want. So I've used some of these because they're a nice size for some of my structures. If I want something bigger, then I'll wait a wee bit longer. Now behind me is a sweet chestnut. Now all these plants have been cut for coppicing and grown for coppicing for thousands of years in the UK. And this chestnut pole is probably something like 14 years old. And chestnut is one of the most durable UK timbers, or ones that can be grown in United Kingdom. And so the sweet chestnut that will last for many, many years, maybe 20, something like that. There's oak, which is very durable, and there's also yew. Now yew, Taxus piccata, isn't used much for coppicing, but oak is, but often coppiced on a 50-year cycle, and you get big beams from it then. But you can't suddenly get a 6-year-old oak tree and coppice it down to the ground, because it just won't regenerate. You have to cut it to the ground really before it's 50 ideally. Now birch, these birch triggers are some I picked from a tree up the drive, and they are really pliable and flexible and bushy, so they're nice to use in conjunction with the hazel. Now the best way to cut them, my favourite one for anything meaty, is this, and that is brilliant. You should wear your safety goggles with it and gloves, but it will slice through, well, it will slice through something that size, and that's probably about 70 mil in diameter, and it will go through that in half a minute or so. For sort of ones that you don't need anything so beefy, these loppers are fantastic. And then obviously for the smaller bits are the secateurs. And then I have a knife and some nice twine to help me as well. So I'll just show you the pool and how bendy the hazel is from the pool. So here you see, so this has got bits of waterweed on it, but you see it is really quite bendy. And if you want it to be bendy in the lower section, you can just gently sort of work them round, and it is fantastic stuff, it really is. And obviously we'll just cut these little bits off. Now while we're here, let me show you the rose though. So here you can see I've got this very thorny rose, and it's Rosa multibracteata, and it was here before I started the rose meadow. It was one that Arabella Lennox Boyd gave me, that she collected the seeds in the wild. It's a species rose, very, very thorny, lovely pink single flowers. And it is a bit straggly. So what I've done is I'm trying to bend the rose canes over. And the reason I'm doing that is when you bend a rose like that one there, you see I've partly done this, they will flower much more prolifically there. And so you get much more flower lower down. So this is a nice little rose, and I just want to make more of a statement of it really. I want it to look more contained, and I think these structures are quite attractive. So I'm just going to quickly snip off the side branches, and then I'm going to I've pretty much done it. I could go on, if I was buying something like this or employing a proper person to make them, I would probably do woven willow ties all around it or something like this. But as you can see, it's pretty well vegetated here, and it's nice just to keep it quite simple, I think, really. So I'm pushing into the ground, and then I'm just going to bend her over and put it through that, and then I'll tie it in place like that with some nice hessian twine. And I think I might have to tie it in place now. It's going to snap up. And obviously a nice twine like this looks good. And these will obviously start to rot. Should use my knife. Will start to rot, particularly where they're into the ground. So where they're in contact with the soil, the canes will rot much quicker. But you can see I've taken off one of the really big straggly ones, and it's going to be a nice neat rose bush, and I'll carry on tying it in. The roses, as they come up, I'll just push them underneath, and that will just fit in with the scale of the rose meadow a bit better. So it's looking quite nice now, I think, but not over fancy. But it probably took me about 10 minutes to do. I just arched them over all the way around the edge, so I've got 4 or 5 hooping around the edge, and then I did bigger ones up over the top and up like that. So let's go and look at the delphiniums next. So here is a small clump of delphiniums. I did actually take about 10 cuttings from them when they were smaller. When the shoots were just about 150 mil high, I just cut them off at the very base. I put them in my hydropod, my little propagator, and they rooted within about 7 days. So I've got 7 more delphiniums, which I'm going to form another clump somewhere here. And just while we're here, this lovely white flower, Lunaria redivider, it's a perennial, honesty, and this has been seeding around everywhere. And I also took some cuttings of this. You're meant to do it from seed, but I had no success, so I've taken some cuttings in the hydropod, and they look very promising. So what I've done with my delphiniums is I've just put the hazel stakes into the ground by about 1 foot, maybe less, all the way around the edge, cut them off almost level. I'm a bit squashy-eyed, I think. And then I've just woven the hessian around each stick and gone on to the next to form a circle. And I've done one at that sort of height. These sticks are probably about 450 high, not higher, and they will support them to this height, which I find in my soil, which is not over rich, is really adequate. I don't need huge high stakes here at all. And then I have put a grid of little thinner laths of hazel over the top, if you can see, like that. So they will grow through that, so they won't push out to the sides if it's very windy. So that probably took me 5 minutes to do, something like that. So it's a very simple, you won't see much of this structure in a few weeks, it'll all be hidden. So is it really worth doing anything more fancy? And I'll do a new one each year. So here we made just a little bit of chestnut fencing, really just to define the vegetable garden better. And I might grow sweet peas or something trailing along it, or I might have courgettes growing on it, something like that. I might use it as a support, but I think mainly it's a decorative fence. So I did get some oak posts for the corners, which the chippy who I work with a lot had some opposite oak and made them up for me. Then I've used one of those chestnut rounds which we saw earlier, and we've just sliced it in half. And then we've got these little picket bits of chestnut, and these are often used for fences around building sites and things attached with wire, and they're sort of triangular in shape, and we've put points to them, so we've just pinned it together. It's a very simple rustic fence. It's not flash or smart, but I think in a vegetable garden it works really well. Now come and see my hoops. So in my little bit of wildflower meadow, sometimes towards the end of the summer, well, it does sort of come sort of end of May, June, it looks a bit floppy, everything's really billowing over the paths. So I think it adds a bit of crispness if I have a little low fence. And so for these I've just gone and cut some thin hazels, and I literally just stick them in the ground. I cross them over a bit, so you've got a bit of a cross at the point. I mean, but they're really just decorative, they're nothing more than that. And you just literally stick them in and then bend them over, and they won't be all the same size, there'll be different ones. You've got to find a nice bit of soft ground, but they go in very simply, and so you can see that's a nice easy fence to do. And we've often done that when we've been doing children's gardens. If you want to make your child a little garden of its own, a little fence made of willow around the edge you can do together, and it doesn't take many minutes. Now look at the next structure. Here, these chestnut posts I've just put on the corners of the paths, and that's purely because if I'm using a hose, I bring the hose up, and when I turn the corner I really don't want it going around and knocking. This is my hyssop and the plants that I've got growing up here. So I've put these posts on the corner. Now I could put a decorative ball on top, I could do a woven willow ball sitting on top, something like that, but actually I've just put the flower pots, and I think that looks fine. Nothing flash, nothing smart, but highly functional and just adds a wee bit of decoration. And now for my pea supports. Here I've got some lovely mange too. I've got 18 plants, I think it is, so I'm going to put 9 around each wigwam. I've got one here and one on the other side. And I've made this one from hazel. So I've stuck in, 6 poles, something like that, 5 or 6, into the ground, tied them at the top, left them looking quite organic, not all very neat, but different lengths. Put string around them at the bottom, middle and the top. And then I've got little birch twigs, nice and soft, just to help them get going. And they look quite nice. So I just literally stuff them in the ground, tuck them in, and then I'll plant these around the edge. And they'll last this year. I'll move the peas next year. It probably will give me another year if I want, and the year after that. But we've got so much hazel and they're so easy to make, I'll probably just make another set. So then for the final one, I'll show you, which is in my other bit of vegetable garden. I'll go and show you that. So here I've got my broad beans in the raised beds, and they've been in here about, I think I planted them out about 3 weeks ago, something like that. And I've just done a grid of hazel stems, which are about 500 above the soil, something like that, 400 or 500, pushed in. So they're reasonably level on the top, only for neatness. And then I put horizontals tied with twine to make a cage, really. So I've got long laths going like that, joined in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I've done lots of horizontals along the top. And the idea is obviously that the broad beans go through the gaps and it stops them rocking and swaying. So I think it's a really nice system, and increasingly people are using this for herbaceous borders. I was at Highgrove the other day, and what they had there is they had metal posts, black painted metal posts, very smart, with a ball on top, probably about 60 millimeters diameter, and then they were 80 centimeters above the ground, so they were, if that was the ground, they would be about that high. And then they'd put black netting with gaps, I would say about 150, something like that, apart on a grid, stretched horizontally between the 4 posts, which are on the 4 corners of the area being staked. And that was because it looks very smart and it's an ornamental garden, and they wouldn't want something perhaps as rustic as this. But you can get lots of jute mesh now with similar different size grids, 50 millimeters and above square, that you could just put 4 posts and just stretch it right across your herbaceous plants, your sweet peas, your broad beans. It's becoming an increasingly popular way to support plants. But I think these look quite nice. They'll certainly do a job. They're fitting for a kitchen garden. But as a final aside, you can see here I've got coppice eucalyptus. Now this is different because I've cut them off at about 1 metre high, because that's what the grower recommends. They're grown for ornamental foliage. So you can see I've got 6 different varieties here, and they've just been cut, and they will start to grow again, and they will send up massive shoots for cutting. And I love seeing all the different types of eucalyptus, and it's so useful to have stuff to cut at throughout the year. I've also used woven willow and woven sweet chestnut to make raised beds for Chelsea one year. Sue Kirk made us some, and they were lovely patterned woven willow. She soaked them before, and they lasted a good few years. So maybe you should get coppicing. Maybe you could try and put a shrub in your garden that you can coppice, or maybe you know one elsewhere. Don't forget, you can use pretty much any hedging plant for coppicing. Ash, probably not because of the disease, but you would have done formerly. Field maple, willow, hornbeam is very popular, many different types, sycamore even. So just go and see what you can find, see what you can grow, and if you've got space, just try and make your own, because it's fun, it's easy, I think it looks pretty nice, and it's inexpensive.